When did you realize you made a mistake by choosing the wrong partner to spend your life with? When I realized that his temper/moodiness/always being grumpy was something that he was choosing. He just wanted to complain and be miserable about the same things in his life, but not make any changes, and he was actually resenting me for trying to help. You can lead a horse to water. I sing a lot all the time when I'm happy, and when I was with him, I wasn't singing because I wasn't happy. That was the first sign that really signaled something was up. When I got pregnant and he got mean. The first time he made me not sleep for 2 days. Sitting in the living room with the light and TV on. Checking every 30 minutes that I didn't fall asleep. Screaming if I closed my eyes for too long. When our son was in the NICU and he came only once to get money from me and never went to his parents' house to visit our 2-year-old. When she went from regular religious to doomsday religious. She went anti-vaxxer, raw milk, homeschool and end of times religious. Good news, I got custody of the kids and saved them from her nonsense. When I learned what grooming was. He was 9 years older than me and started grooming me from 14. I was gullible as hell and we got engaged as soon as I got my high school cap and gown. I left him a month before we were supposed to get married. Now he's getting divorced from wife number 2 and he groomed her too. When I noticed she never held herself accountable and held grudges that dragged on against people for the littlest slights. Year 5 and she was hiding credit cards. Year 7 when I found her stash of oxys and hydros. We were always broke and she was a fantastic liar. When he thought our infant was being bad every time he cried. I had a daughter who was kept from me the first 8 years of my life that I had told her and been transparent that if I ever find her or get the chance to be dad I would be dad with all that entailed. She understood the day I found her, my GF was taken back. At first she was shocked, understood because it's different but she knew everything. She then said she would never allow her in the house, new rules, then backed off and said any time she came over that she would go stay at a friend's. Then gave me the, her or me. This wasn't a progressive thing, this was within a week before I had seen my daughter yet. Without skipping a beat I wrote out our splitting agreement, told her we'd sell the house and I'd be cutting contact, that I never regretted it. I hope she finds peace in whatever she needed, but in no way was I going to go along with that. There were a lot of signs, like when I got out of the hospital and he just avoided me. The final straw was when he told me he had hated and resented my cat for the last 6 years less than 24 hours after she died. She had kept me alive for those past 6 years. I'll finally be free this year. When he would get annoyed with little things that made me happy. And he wouldn't celebrate my achievements the way he would celebrate his friends. Spent 5 years in hell. That wasn't even the worst of the abuse. Thank God I'm out of that. When I had my kids, life changed for me. He continued to go out all night drinking. I would get calls from the bar and women that he left his coat or wallet places. I passed him coming home when I was taking the kids to daycare and then to work for me. He was headed home to sleep. Unfortunately he ended up getting an accident and now I am stuck with his care day to day, working full time and the kids are grown, but I took my sister's kids when she passed. He is a mean crabby man that falls a lot now. Can you tell I am angry? Leave while you can, don't get stuck in a loveless marriage before that person becomes your responsibility. Run away as fast as you can. This is going to sound so messed up because it is, but when I was SA'd and he told me that it was the same as cheating on him. We separated and divorced after that. I wasn't gonna subject myself to that kind of behavior/attitude. When he left me in a parking lot on our anniversary because he dreamed I cheated on him. When she abruptly went cold and withdrawn on me seemingly overnight, just weeks before we were meant to start trying for a baby. She then showed a load of avoidant behaviors, including removing her wedding ring without warning and deleted our wedding photos on Instagram before she finally had the kindness to inform me that she had changed her mind. Dodged a bullet. When I was relieved that he was out of town for a few days. When he tried to beat me to death while pregnant. When I didn't want to taste test his new food for him because I had a severe allergic reaction a few days ago. He wanted me to tell him if he'd like it. He told me if I'm going to live like that, I might as well just die. When I finally realized that she had no curiosity, and was never going to develop any. I'd like to say the first time I caught her cheating on me, but it's truthfully the third. Didn't leave until the fourth, so I guess it's really my fault honestly. The first marriage she said that if I didn't do what she wanted she was going to leave me. The second marriage she tried to choke my 16-year-old black lab because she was mad at me. Both marriages lasted 1 year. I have bad judge of character when it comes to my relationships with women. I retired about 9 months ago. My father told me, it's better to be miserable by yourself than be miserable with someone you can't stand. Knew during engagement, but he kept saying, I'll change, I want to change, spoiler alert. I don't know if I am at that point or not now. The passion is starting to disappear. Sex gets further and further away each time. I love them but I don't want them. I am not sure if it's starting to die. Never married, but wasted years of my life on toxic people. I am sure some have felt the same about me, but it really held me back in growing as a person. I'm sorry to anyone who's been in it way longer than me. When I realized how I was feeling centered around how he was feeling about me. My next moves were always to keep him happy regardless of the ridiculousness of the task. When he tried to have S**X with 2 of our neighbors, our dog groomer and a mutual friend of ours. All while not working. I had just given birth to our son and had to stay overnight in the hospital as they suspected I might have an infection. There was me, my son plus like 5 other mothers and their babies on the same ward. Partners had to leave at a certain time of the night and come back the next morning. When visitation started the next morning, the ward opened to all of the husbands rushing in with flowers, chocolates, and excitement, but my husband was nowhere to be seen. I called him and he said he was super tired and needed to sleep more. I had just gone through days of slow labor and had to be induced as my waters broke but contractions hadn't started. I was completely physically exhausted and had also been up through the night 3 to 4 times to feed and change my son, plus kept awake by the other babies on the ward. It was this moment I realized my husband didn't like me or love me very much. I didn't. The relationships I had in my 20s and early 30s were a train wreck, but I learned from each one, got some therapy, and eventually married an amazing human. My husband is the most kind, loving, patient, and compassionate man. Marriage has been the easiest thing I've ever done because I married someone wonderful. For everyone out there who picked someone cruel, self-absorbed, or just plain abusive, it's not too late to leave that person and choose differently. I did all those things, the details are gory, so I'll spare you. Then I managed to leave those relationships and move on. Fantastic people are out there for you to walk through life with, people that will treat you well. All you need is the courage to change, to step into the unknown. It's really hard, but it's worth it. Be bold. There wasn't a single moment. Just a gradual realization. 2 months into our marriage when he headbutted me and busted my face open because I wouldn't take him to get the heroin he vowed he would never do again to get me to marry him. When he demanded anal at 1 week postpartum because he couldn't go without sex for 6 weeks for me to heal from a traumatic vaginal delivery.